Welcome back to Bullyball, a San Francisco 49er podcast. Today we're going to do a recap of the 49ers butt whooping of the Commanders, or as they're now known as the Durs, or something like that, everyone's been saying. But we'll do a quick recap of that game. We'll shout out the Bully of the Week, and then we'll talk a little bit about the game coming up this next week. So stay tuned.
Tony Montana, Tony Montana, Tony Montana, check up on my ear. Tony Montana, Tony Montana, Tony Montana, I'm about to cut.
All right, let's jump right into it. So, as you guys know, the 49ers played the Washington Commanders on Saturday, Christmas Eve, and they put a butt whooping on them, but it was pretty slow, out the gates. Looked like it might have been a slugfest throughout the whole game, but come second half, 49ers took off. What are your guys' first thoughts about the game? And also, before that, how was Christmas?
Yeah, Christmas was good. It's always good to be able to spend the holidays with your family when you're in the military. So that was definitely good. My little daughter Cora, she had pretty much was the star of the show, got all the presents. So that was good. How was it for you guys?
It was good. It was good. Got a bunch of things I've been wanting. But then we also got this hoodie I have on. You got one as well. So
Yeah.
I'll show the people real quick. We got the Bullyball 49er podcast. And then on the back, let me know if you could see it because I can't see the screen.
Yeah.
Can you see it?
Yep.
Got the full logo on the back. So, got the clean apparel coming out for us. I'm getting a Bullyball hat soon. So we'll see how that looks when it finally arrives in Germany.
Yeah. So now back to the game. It was an interesting game. It was real tight at first. The score seemed a little bit stretched out more than what the actual game felt like, in my opinion. Like you said, definitely started out a little bit rough. There were some weaknesses that got exposed, I guess you could say. Yeah, it was an interesting game. Glad that we got out with the dub. Still puts us in the contention for the number 2 spot, even number 1 spot, hypothetically. So that's interesting. Yeah, interesting game, though, for sure. A lot to talk about. What about
Yeah,
you,
and
Dad?
1 second. It was an interesting one because usually this season, the 49ers, when they've played bad, it was like, oh, we should be up 21-7, and it shouldn't be 7-7. But this game, we played bad, but they were the unlucky ones, and they should have been up 21-7. So, what do you think about that, Dad? With how the game went the first half, it was kind of wonky. You would have thought we were the teams on the short week.
Yeah, definitely. I felt like that game right there could have got out of our hands real quick. They had a couple missed opportunities. They could have jumped up on us. I was a little worried when we didn't convert when we went for it at the beginning. Those are tough plays. I think if you're going to go for them, Shanny needs to come out with like a great play for those situations because that game could have got out from us. But it's also good to get tested. Like we were talking during that game, we needed to see what we could do in those situations with Purdy. What's he going to do when you're not on top? Because when you're on top and you're winning, everything's easy. You're having a good time. It's fun. Everything's just going your way. We needed to see once there is a little bit of that pressure, a little heat, how are you going to react? Are you going to be able to pull us out of this? So I think it was pretty good. We got to see a little bit, but I just hope we don't get those slow starts like that against some of these better teams as we're going to start facing.
Yes, and that Washington team, they have the number 4 ranked defense in the league, so they weren't playing no slouches, but there was a couple plays that you would have liked to seen different. We're going to jump into the all 22 film here in a second, but first we have our bully of the week. We do this every week if you're new here. and it's the most physically imposing player on the game. The person that, they impact the game in a disruptive manner. And it's kind of like this thing that's been building with the 49ers lately, where every week after a team plays the 49ers, they get their ass whooped because they get physically beat down by the 49ers. And that's the whole point of our channel. So that's, kind of why we have the Bully of the Week. So I'll let you guys go ahead and talk about them, and I'll throw the picture up.
Yep. As you can see there, it is Nick Bosa for Bully of the Week. This was my Bully of the Week going into the game. This was my candidate. I said he was going to have 2 sacks. He hit that goal of 2 sacks. Should have had 3, but the third one didn't count because it was on a 2-point attempt, which is BS. Puts him at 17.5 sacks. A big underrated thing with him, too, is how good he is against the run, because it's not just like he's a legit pass rusher. He's also super good against the run, holding down the edge. Bosa's been doing it all year. He's 2 sacks away from Aldon Smith's 49ers team record at 19.5. So hopefully he can get that. That'd be really cool to see. And as you can see here, the subliminal messaging behind it, you see a crown on top of Nick Bosa's head. That crown is for Defensive Player of the Year. We said going into this game that we felt like this was going to be his statement game, that he was going to really put the stamp on Defensive Player of the Year. And a game like he had this last week, I definitely think that he solidified himself as Defensive Player of the Year. So that's what that crown's for. Now you just got to wait until they do the ceremony and hand him over the trophy. What are your thoughts about it, how Bosa played this week?
Same. He did great. Kid came out and balled. Don't snub him. Don't snub him. He deserves this. And we got 2 more games. He's going to be after Carr. He's going to be putting Carr on his back. We're going to go for Aldon Smith's record, maybe even more.
Yeah. And the crazy thing is he's already missed a game this season. So he hypothetically could already be at that 19.5. But also, it's just the fact that this dude is so close to so many sacks that it's pretty insane. If you don't watch the 49ers, I could see why you'd be like, oh, well, Micah Parsons is comparable. But if you watch 49ers games, this dude is just terrorizing the quarterback all the time. And it's insane. He's so close to he probably, if he converted half of the almost sacks, what do you think he'd be at? Probably like 28.
Probably, because you figure he would have had like 6 sacks against the Seahawks. Probably would have had 2 more this last week. So, yeah, it definitely would have been at something crazy.
It's just insane. So, Bully of the Week for Week 16, Nick Bosa. And I believe we've had Nick Bosa as Bully of the Week multiple times this season so far.
Yeah.
And you could also say, I think Dad said Kittle was his Bully of the Week this week.
Mm-hmm.
Very, very strong case as well on the offensive side of the ball for him.
Yeah. Some stats on Nick Bosa throughout the season. He's 17.5 sacks, like I said, which leads the NFL. He has 78 pressures, which is tied for second, and a 25.1% win percentage, which is also second. So, it doesn't get much better. It's great to have a dominant force like that on your defense. And we knew this was going to happen once we drafted him. If he could stay healthy, we knew this was going to happen. And he's finally putting it to fruition. He was even in the running. You remember his rookie year after the Panthers game, he kind of got in the running for Defensive Player of the Year a little bit. You started hearing some whispers.
Yeah, when he got that interception.
Yeah.
Yeah,
and then the next year, I believe he got hurt towards ACL, right? Yeah. And then this year,
right? The next year, last year, 15.5 sacks.
Yeah,
I believe.
15.5. Yeah. And then this year, 17.5, possibly breaking the team record. So, Nick Bosa's a dominant force. we need to lock him up soon this offseason. There's no way he walks away from the building. You know what I mean? Like, you don't let generational players like that walk. So he's going to be getting a huge payday, but definitely worth it.
Yeah, and speaking about you don't let generational players walk, there's been articles floating around this week. I don't know if you guys have seen them yet, but supposedly Kyle Shanahan has an issue with George Kittle. I've been seeing, I think it was Mike Silver, and it's a guy that a lot of people don't take very seriously. But he put out an article kind of saying how Kyle Shanahan dislikes George Kittle. And one of the main statements from that article was that touchdown pass where Ray McLeod was like hugging Kittle in the end zone. Supposedly Kittle was supposed to run a crossing route to bring the safety down and open it up for Ray, but he saw the safety sitting down low and he said, screw it, I'm going up because I'm not going to just run into coverage. So he pretty much stole the touchdown from Ray, and supposedly Kyle Shanahan was upset about that. What do you guys think about that? And do you think there is a possibility George Kittle has moved in the offseason?
Shit, I hope not. I like Kittle, and I think when you have players like that, sometimes you need to give them a little freedom to make things happen. You can't always just hold them down and think you're the king. We've seen Shanahan choke time and time again. And even where we're at now, Shanahan still has to prove he can win these big games and get us over the hump. You need players like that to be able to help you get over the hump. Hey, we got the touchdown. That's really what mattered. I mean, I think it'd be a mistake to let him walk. When you have those guys, he's part of our team, a big part of our team that makes us dominant. The defenses have to pay attention to him. That's just another weapon that we have. You lose weapons like that, that's a big weapon that you're losing right there.
Yeah, I think it's BS as well. Shanahan always emphasizes, especially when we drafted Trey Lance, 11 on 11 football. Kittle is definitely 11 on 11 football. That dude's like an O-line in a tight end's body. You know what I mean? That's why he probably doesn't get utilized as much as these other tight ends because of how good he is at blocking. So if you take that away, it's not going to be there because you can have Charlie Warner, who sure you could say, okay, he's close maybe in blocking, which realistically he's not. But if you wanted to, you could say that. But Charlie Warner is nothing near George Kittle when it comes to the receiving side of it too. Because it's not like George Kittle is only an elite blocker. He's also an elite receiving tight end. You know what I mean? You see what he does with the ball in his hands, like after the catch. So there's no way you're going to get rid of a player like that, even if you think, he's not doing what he's supposed to be doing, but he's making plays. At least if you're going to mess up a play, at least do something good with it. And clearly Kittle did. He caught a touchdown, you know what I mean? So, I think it's BS. I wouldn't take too much, listen to that too much from that guy.
Yeah, and it's interesting because, a lot of people were saying this season that George Kittle's kind of fallen off as a top tight end and that, he couldn't create separation. And it's been really nice to see him reemerge as a top tight end this past couple of weeks with Brock Purdy at the helm, because we've all been screaming for years now since he broke that record to feature him as the key weapon in the offense. And it hasn't happened. And then when he was getting thrown the ball, it was hospital balls that were getting him injured. So it's great to see him reemerge. And the 49ers offense is still missing key pieces that are going to be back as soon as next week. But that's a topic for later. So let's hop into this all 22 film. So this is the first play of the game on defense. And as you can see right here, we got George Kittle. We got Javon Kinlaw in on defense, who we didn't know if he was going to play at all or not. So, keep an eye on him on this play. Nothing crazy happens. And go ahead and throw commentary. Tell me to stop if you want me to stop, whatever.
You want pause it real quick before this next play. There was a stat that I saw. So who made that tackle? I think it was Deshaun Gibson, right?
I think so, yeah.
There was a stat that I saw, and it was like the top 5 DBs in run stop percentage or something like that, from PFF. And the Niners had 3 of the top 5. They had Deshaun Gibson, I believe, was 5th. Mooney Ward, I think, was like 3rd, or Mooney Ward was either 2nd or 1st, and Jimmy Ward was also in there. So they had 3 DBs in the top 5 in run stop percentage, and clearly you can see that. That's a huge part of the Niners defense is your outside guys being able to make open field tackles or just tackles in general. So it's great to see, Deshaun Gibson, Mooney Ward, all those guys making plays.
Yeah. And so this shows you both angles of the film. So it'll be the same play twice. But yeah, just on this first play, you see Javon Kinlaw get turned. You'd like to see him fight over that, but it is what it is. And yeah, Deshaun Gibson, tackle for loss. That one looked like Javon Kinlaw got pushed back about 5 yards to me just off the first watch. Yeah. Kept Fred Warner clean, though, I guess, so.
Yeah, it's tough with Kinlaw.
Pretty good protection, and that's the play Demo gets beat on. He's not really beat. The ball's just shittily thrown. So it looks like a back shoulder, but in the middle of the field. Yeah, I don't think that was supposed to be thrown like that. Do you?
It's a little bit slow on our end, so we're probably not going to be able to give like great up to speed commentary, but I think it's just because my Wi-Fi over here. But yeah, it was an interesting game from the DBs because they were definitely struggling at first. Demo is getting burnt by Jahan Dotson. Travarius Ward kept getting holding penalties on Terry McLaurin. Talanoa Hufanga looked a step behind on the couple touchdowns that they got, so those guys definitely struggled at first, at least in the first half.
Yeah. All right, now we're on offense. So it's choppy for you guys?
A little bit.
Yeah. This play was extremely interesting, Looked like Purdy was going to get blown up, but the ability to like sidearm that and get that ball out accurately to Ayuk was pretty impressive, especially with somebody in his face.
So you have this DN 96, I believe it is, fake pitch, and then he's immediately in his face. And most quarterbacks right here taking a sack. Or you're throwing it and it's getting swatted down by that dude. But the ability to get that sidearm in there and just fit it through that's talent. That's elite level talent just in the pocket right there, in my opinion. That's a Mahomes type throw, a Herbert. I believe they posted a Herbert throw like this from the game last night. And they're like, how many quarterbacks can make this throw? And somebody said, Brock Purdy made that throw earlier in the day yesterday. But that's a great, great throw. And yeah, really, really stout run defense. So I think that was part of the 49ers issue in the first half, is just they kept trying to run the ball. And that's what this team is good at, stopping. And they didn't want to throw it. And that led to the Commanders, controlling the time of possession. We probably only had the ball like 3 or 4 times in the first half.
Mm-hmm.
That was a terrible throw, though. Did that get swatted on this play?
This was the one to Ayuk, right? The deep curl.
Yeah. Did it get swatted, or was it just
I think he just
duck.
underthrew it.
Yeah, that was just a duck. He was wide
You
open
know,
too.
what do you think about this, Dad? Because I know we kind of talked about it live, and I said that's kind of the things that worry me are like those drive throws, because that's a pretty deep route, and it'd be nice to see Purdy hit those, and I feel like he's missed those a couple times too, like in other games. But what are your thoughts on that miss?
Those, I don't know. I started noticing those once he had that injury. So maybe, with all the twisting and all that and not being fully healed, because he comes back a little while later and hits that dime on him deeper with Kittle. So I think that might just be one of those weird positions and some shit. I don't know. I'm not too worried about him though, because like that first play or the second play that Joseph was talking about where he threw it sidearm, there's only a few quarterbacks that could do this. And you got to remember too, this guy wasn't getting full reps 5 weeks ago. So he's building the chemistry, and think of how many of our offensive player weapons are getting hit now. Where Jimmy would lock in on Debo on a game, or he would just lock in on somebody else. That's why Kittle's coming back out, because he's not only, hitting the other receivers, he's hitting Kittle. He's sharing the love on the field, and that's a big thing coming playoff time, because then who do you stop? Who are you going to block? You got to guard somebody. So I think that's big, where he's playing like a big-time quarterback. He's not perfect. He's not flawless or nothing like that. But I feel real confident in his skills.
Yeah, and that was a weird play because there wasn't pressure in his face really. It looked like he got his back foot in the ground and was able to drive it, and it just didn't. I don't know what happened, but he doesn't have a strong arm. But that didn't look like a throw that required a super strong arm. I don't know what happened on that play.
You figure, I guess, because he rolled out a little bit to the right, so he's throwing it from like the right hash mark, throwing it kind of like across to the other, between the hash and the like yard marker on the side right there. I mean, I guess it's pretty far, but still, those are the throws that kind of worry me, because you look at it, it's wide open. You know what I mean? You hit that in timing, and it's not like it was close. That thing died pretty short. So I don't know. That just concerned me a little bit.
Yeah, that one died bad. Pretty good outside run to CMC right there.
Yeah.
You got to get a second monitor so you could pull this up on yours and just sync it, so then we could watch it at the same time.
Yeah.
Perfect throw. Hit Kittle over the middle, put it right on him where it had to go. This is what Jimmy was good at, and you love to see the continuation over to Brock Purdy. Throws it on time, perfect throw. Let him get some yak.
Yeah, accurate too. He doesn't have
Yeah.
to really stop too much. A little bit behind, maybe a tad bit if you want to be picky, but nothing crazy.
How did you feel
but-
about Ty Davis Price in this game? He got a decent amount of work.
What are your thoughts on Ty Davis Price, Dad? And I'll get mine.
I thought he did all right. It was tough on this one because we couldn't really get the running game and everything going. It was and when that happens, Shanahan tries to do more and more and more instead of starting to open up, which later on in the game he did change it up. But I thought he did pretty good. I'm pretty confident in him. All our backs, really.
Me personally, I wasn't too impressed with them. I just feel like he doesn't have that explosion. Kind of like the same thing with Trey Sermon. When you see Jordan Mason take the rock, like that dude's getting yards no matter what. Even if it's a pretty stout defensive line, he's at least getting 2-3 yards. Ty Davis Price, it just doesn't look very explosive to me. I don't know. He's a hard runner, but it just looks different. When JP runs it just looks a lot more explosive and physical for some reason. But I mean, it's not like he looked terrible.
Yeah, I've been not a big fan of that pick all year, And when you take a running back that early, we've missed a lot with those early running backs. But you want them to do one thing really good. You know what I mean? Whether that be a hard runner like JP Mason is, or maybe you're a really good pass catcher on third downs, or you're explosive. You want one trait that's like stands out. And he just seems pretty average at everything. Like not very explosive,
Yeah.
not the fastest, not the best vision. And so I don't know. It just I would really like for JP or Elijah Mitchell to be back because I do not want that many carries going to him at this time. He could be great next year. Just right now, it's just he's not ready, and that's just what
Did
I
you
see.
know? I mean, I know JP got hurt on that first kickoff, but then it seemed like he was fine after. Shanahan kind of talked to him right after. It looked like JP was probably like, "Yeah, I'm good." A little cramp or a little sore. But then, like, he just didn't get reps at all. And I'm wondering, because I saw Shanahan also say something about Ty Davis Price earlier in the week. Like, he just never got his opportunity early on. He got injured. And I'm curious if it's like one of those things to where, this guy's an early draft pick, like he needs to get some reps. You know what I mean? Like he needs to play. He was an early draft pick or else he's going to look bad. And I don't know if that's true. I'm just curious because Shanahan has never really done that before, like look at Trey Sermon, the dude barely ever touched the ball. So I don't think he's like one of those guys that's going to play players because they're early draft picks, but this one it kind of seemed like that, you know what I mean? And I don't
Yeah,
know, yeah, I'm just not too sure why he was doing that.
yeah, that is interesting because maybe he's thinking like he saw JP was dealing with the hamstring injury already, gets hurt. He's like, all right, shut him down. We need this dude for the playoffs or later on, whatever. But then maybe also he sees it as, hey, JP's hurt. We are getting Elijah Mitchell back, but he's unreliable. He's always hurt. Maybe he's saying, like, hey, we need to force feed this guy a little bit because who knows? We might be relying on him in the playoffs. So we need to get him reps now. We'll see this next week if they do it again. And I think that would be very telling. Like, hey, we need to force this guy to get work just in case we need to rely on him in the playoffs.
Yeah, and it's super interesting too because it seems like Shanahan's always been kind of skeptical on JP. We were always saying like, isn't he getting more reps? And then you see this game, Ty Davis Price gets reps in the first, second quarter, first drive, second drive, like, and JP never got those before. You know what I mean? He was always getting second half, if not fourth quarter, which is extremely interesting. And you would think like, okay, JP's hurt with the hamstring, take him off kickoff because that's when you're going to hurt your hamstring when you're doing that long distance sprinting. That's when your hamstring is going to have some problems. But he was still on kickoff and all the special teams, so didn't really make sense. Kind of curious to find out like what's exactly going on there with JP. You know what I mean? Like, is he not showing stuff in practice? Is he like fumbling in practice? Does he not know the plays or what is it? You know what I mean?
Yeah. So here's your fourth down play, that we failed on. We've done this play before and it worked. I believe what it was 4th and 2. Seems like a good play call, but you're playing one of the top run defenses in the league. So, just as I play it, talk a little bit about if you would have ran this play, would you have kicked it? What would you have done different?
What do you think?
Because it looked like it was going to work. If he got that pitch off correctly, we would have got the first down.
Yeah, that was a tough one.
Yeah, maybe that was Juice just trying to do too much, trying to hold on to the ball a little bit later. Because it looked like the pitch was definitely there, probably a tad, like a couple seconds earlier. It's interesting. I just don't know if you do like if he gets it out right there.
That's an easy first down.
I don't think that defender on the outside of Juice can like make a play on that ball. I think he's too close. to Juice to where if he pitches it out, he can get CMC gets that pitch, and that's a touchdown.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That defender's in a bad position right there where he can score. So maybe that was Juice thinking like, oh, shoot, I see a hole right here. If I can cut it up real quick, I can get this first down. Personally, though, I probably wouldn't really run these gadgety plays on 4th down, especially right here. I'd probably throw the ball maybe to, 3rd and Jawan. The dude's always clutch on 3rd, 4th downs. So I probably wouldn't have run the like super gadgety play personally, but not a bad play call. The opportunity was definitely there.
And maybe he thought he was going to get past this guy and possibly take a hit from maybe this guy or this guy. And then he would have, McCaffrey wide open for the touchdown further downfield. But you got to give some credit to this guy because he got Juice to take the bait and not pitch it right here. So got to give a little bit of credit to that dude.
Yeah, the field got short quick. They smothered it up, and then the room was gone.
And when you're playing top defenses, this type of stuff's going to happen sometimes.
I would have called up Andy Reid. Give me a good play for this. He's one of those coaches that's good in these situations.
There's your Nick Bosa in run defense right there.
Yep.
Swallows up Logan Thomas. Still don't know why people try to block him with tight ends. It's been on film for years. Don't block him with the tight end.
I mean, your tackles can barely block this dude by themselves. So why do you think a tight end or a running back is going to be able to? It makes no sense. There's another stat. The Niners would have been the first team, I think, to hold like 8 consecutive teams to 70 yards or less rushing. But the Commanders got over, I think that's 79 yards. But they also had like 30-something attempts. So they had like a 2.2 yard average per run, which is terrible.
Yeah.
So that was more of a volume thing than like the Niners defense actually giving it up. Good play by Huff there. Huff and Dre.
Pocket collapsing, barely gets away. Just throws up a Hail Mary, or throws up a duck. Should have been picked off by, I think that was Tashawn Gibson, right?
Yeah.
Who gets the pressure here? Looks like Ebukam. Yeah, almost Ebukam sack. Charles O'Menahue.
Ebukam and Bosa.
Should have been a pick. Tashawn Gibson should have caught that.
Yeah.
I will say, watching this game, Mooney Ward needs to be healthy because the moment he left the game, it got sketchy real fast.
Mm-hmm. Figure, first play he leaves, they throw a bomb on Sam Womack and get almost a touchdown. Yeah, that's not ideal. You know what I mean? And especially now that you have Verrett down, you have Mosley who went down earlier in the year. You can't afford those guys to go down.
And this is a very underrated receiving core. But when you got to play, the Vikings receiving core and teams like that, you'll be in some trouble. We need Mooney.
Yeah.
Good play by Brock, just finding the open man, stepping out of pressure.
Yeah, good pocket awareness, to step up, step right, step up, and then just deliver the ball accurately.
Look at that. I've been saying it now, the ball, that was once again probably an arm strength issue a little bit. But just the escapability in the pocket, just boom, missed. Wish he would have put that a little outside and a little more heat on it. But I've been saying, his escapability reminds me of Bryce Young, the Alabama quarterback. When I've been watching Alabama play, you just see some crazy magical plays happen where the play's dead and this dude just somehow slips out, escapes, and makes a throw down the field. And I see that from Brock Purdy in the pocket. and on the rollout. And I know people probably be like, you're comparing him to a guy in college. But it's a guy in college that's going to go top 5 in the NFL draft. And you're seeing the same things from the last pick in the NFL draft. So I think it's pretty impressive.
The big thing too about like those type of plays, yes, it was incomplete. You wish Brock Purdy would have done a little bit more heat on it, a little bit outside. But if that was Jimmy G at quarterback, you're taking a loss of yards. You're not taking 0 yards. You're taking a loss for a sack, if not a pick, because those are the plays that he would throw picks.
And wasn't the guy that was going after him one of the good players for them too, like Pro Bowler?
Yeah.
So it wasn't just the slouch that got through.
Yeah.
And he's been making first round picks, really high level talent miss in the pocket. So you love to see that ability from him as a rookie as well.
Who's been kind of down and kind of miss seeing him make big plays is Azeez Al-Shaair. I know obviously last year you had some injuries to Dre and Fred, but Azeez, man, he just hasn't been making many plays at all when he's on the field. It's kind of unfortunate, but I mean, it is what it is. I guess that's why they brought Dre Greenlaw back instead of him, but still.
One dude that had a big game to me was Jordan Willis. You'll see him blow up this run here. He had a sack, I believe, and then he had one get called back because of a holding by Charvarius Ward. And then he had the fumble recovery that could have been an interception. So, again, one of those really, really good midseason pickups by John Lynch. But you'll see him blow this run up right here. About a good 4 or 5 yard loss.
Yeah, and that pick, I don't know if we'll get to it in this film breakdown, but that pick, man, was insane. He has hand strength to hold on to that ball, and he has 5 Commander players yanking at it too, and he held on to it. And it's not like it was in his chest. His hands were out here.
And it was linemen. It was big ass linemen on him too.
So it's not like it was in his chest. He could just bear down on that shit. His hands were out, and he was like this, and there was 5 other dudes, and he held on to it.
So this is the play I'm talking about. It was 2 plays in a row. He made a big impact. I don't think this counted as a sack because it's a quarterback run, I guess. But he hits him behind the line of scrimmage. So I don't know why it's not a sack, but you'll see the play he makes here. Just tracks him down, pushes him out of bounds for a loss. Big play.
That's athleticism there too. A lot of D linemen won't make that play. because he kind of bites down a little bit, but then he still has the speed to recover. So impressive.
And now you see right here, this has been a huge issue for the 49ers recently. This is 3rd and long, and they just keep giving up first downs on 3rd and long this season. You know, do you see that being an issue heading into the playoffs? Like a team start compounding these and then, you know, score a touchdown or something happens. What do you think about that issue on this defense?
Those piss me off. I have flashbacks of Hill. Remember, it was like 3rd and 15 or something. Mahomes rolls out, and then we let him convert. Those drive me crazy. It's almost like we're playing back a little far, or I don't know what it is, but I think we gave up 3 or 4 in this game, like that, 3rd and longs.
Yeah, it was a lot.
That's how you lose too. 'Cause who was the other team? You remember? I don't remember if it was like the Broncos or the Falcons.
I think it might have been the Broncos.
Yeah, it was one of them. We kept giving up 3rd and longs, and we ended up losing because of that. You know, this is when you gotta just bear down. You know, don't play too far off, but beware of the sticks. Be aware of the sticks and just rally to the ball. You know, this team's great at swarming to the football. That's what you need to do now. But instead we get broken coverages, you know, just huge holes. And something that DeMeco Ryans needs to fix before we get to the postseason.
Definitely. And after this play, this is when I texted you guys and I said Jordan Willis, bully of the week. This is the third play on this drive that he makes a huge impact. Too bad the play gets overturned because of a defensive penalty. Coverage sack, but it's still a sack. Still got past the tackle.
Those two or three new defensive tackles played pretty well as well. Dwumfor, I think. Akeem Spence was another one. Then T.Y. McGill. T.Y. McGill was balling. Like, he had a pretty good game. He had some impact plays, which is good to see.
That's another mid-season impactful signing by John Lynch.
Yeah. Same with that Dwumfor guy. I think we barely signed him last week, and he's already playing. He played a lot of reps.
He's right here. Number 50, right here. Taking on the double team, leaving Jordan Willis open for the tackle.
How do you think, what are your thoughts on Kinlaw? What do you think he exceeded your expectations going into the game? Did he not meet your expectations? What would you say about Kinlaw?
Kinlaw's in right here on this play. But, I don't know. I really didn't see him. When I'm watching the game, I'm not really looking at a single player. I'm just watching it as a fan. But I didn't see him, didn't hear about him, didn't see an impact. Supposedly on that. Rewind that one.
This next play, watch at the next angle. Look at how far this fool gets pushed out of the play right here.
All right, let me pause.
He's at the right D tackle.
So he's right here?
Yes. That's what opens up that cutback lane. You can't have that.
Yeah, he gets turned out of the play.
And he's huge. Javon Kinlaw is not a small D tackle. That dude's huge, man. What do you think about Kinlaw?
The one plus, he made it through the game without injury. So maybe we go for small steps. Let's say he was knocking off some rust. But other than that, I didn't see him do too much. Like, there wasn't nothing that we were like, oh, shit. He tore it up right there for us. So I guess we'll take the positive. He made it through the game. He was in there.
I think me and Daddy would say, like, oh, we haven't seen this fool on the field in like a minute. Yeah. I don't know if he just did. I don't know if he was in and we just didn't see him. Like you said, we're kind of just watching the game from a whole team perspective, or if he was actually just not in for a while. But
and like you said, like right here, you see Dwumfor. He don't get turned. He makes that play right there. And that's a dude we signed this week off a practice squad. But, it's you wish Huff would have made that play right there. And then they get the long completion. But just not impactful, you know what I mean? And you hope to see it at some point, but I don't know. We've seen all these other dudes come in and fill in very well. Just I don't see what the issue is. I don't know. I think he's in right here. He's in right here. That ain't him. Never mind. I don't know who. Is that Spence? Oh, no, that's T.Y. McGill. That's McGill.
That fool got washed out, too.
Here's one of the good goal line stands for the 49ers. T.Y. McGill takes on the double team, allows the linebacker to be free. Holds his ground pretty well as well. Both the tackles actually took on double teams at first. Who's the other guy? That's Spence right there.
Looked like Dre Greenlaw came up and made the tackle on that one.
Damn, look at that pushback. Who was that? Was that McGill? Yeah, that was McGill right there.
Was it?
Yeah,
it 96. Was. Yeah.
He blows that dude up. Wow.
Yeah, that was credit to McGill.
See, that was another. That was
play,
nice.
I think.
Yeah, that was real nice.
That was on 4th down too, right?
Or no, that was 3rd, I think. This is 4th.
This
I
one, I
think,
believe, is where they said Kinlaw did good right here because he had a good
yeah,
push into
he
the
holds
backfield.
the line right here. You got T.Y. McGill, Spence, and Kinlaw. Kinlaw holds up pretty well.
McGill
McGill
makes
holds
the
up pretty
tackle.
well. Yep.
That goal line stance right there reminds me of the Niners defense. Remember back in the day when we used to see them? I don't remember who they were playing, but remember the game we were watching and they did it like 4 times in a row?
Yeah, I believe it was the 2019 Rams game. You remember they kept going for it on fourth down.
Yeah.
Went for it like 4 times, and we stopped them every time.
And one of the issues with the 49ers offense I've noticed is when we're within our own 20, we struggle to get drives going. We've seen it a couple times where, we just can't flip the field and they keep pinning us within our own 20 and we cannot, get drives going for some reason. Do you think there's an issue or something that they could do to fix that?
I don't know.
I mean, it's tough when you're within your own 20, because there's not a lot of room for error. If you mess up, it's going to be costly, whether it's a safety, you commit a turnover right here, they're going to have the ball already in your territory, they only need 20 yards to get a touchdown. So you kind of have to have that mix of like conservative, but not too conservative because you don't just want to blow a drive. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
you want to get yards, but at the same time, you don't want to commit a costly mistake as well that can flip the game on its head.
I'd love to
Which
see
kind of happens later in this game.
Yeah, I'd love to see, Kyle get aggressive and take a deep shot, just
Yeah.
once when they're within like their 10-yard line. Because you see these other teams and they'll have a 90-yard touchdown because the other team's not expecting you to be aggressive right there. But that's just one thing I'd like to see.
Dad, what do you think about this? Then Joe, let's get your thoughts after too.
This is a good throw.
Yeah, it seemed like Purdy was getting seems like this game he had a couple more balls swatted down at the line than usual in his past games. Do you think that's going to be a problem going forward? Do you think he can find a way to get over that, or is that like a offensive line problem? Because football, if you're an offensive lineman, if you see those D linemen jump up in the air, you're supposed to punch them in the stomach, get them back down. But do you think that's going to be a problem that we're going to have?
That because I think we've seen like 3 of them in this game.
Yeah, there's one right here.
Is this one coming up?
Yeah, right here.
I know, obviously, if he was 6'3" or 6'4", we were listening to a podcast today, and they were saying if he was 6'3" or 6'4", he would have went way lower in the draft or higher. That was one of the reasons why he went as late as he did was his height. So that I think that is an issue that he will have to make an adjustment if that keeps happening. But we've seen other quarterbacks that are short make it in the NFL, plenty of times. But I think it is part on our linemen too. They need to be hitting them in the gut. So when they go up, make them pay, and then they're going to think twice to do it again. So I'd say 50-50 thing.
Yeah, I think it's just the issue he's short, He's going to have to find a way to overcome that. And I think a lot more teams, are going to start getting their hands up instead of, trying to get interior pressure to disrupt them. But the 49ers have had a lot of issues with swatted balls. I don't know if it's like a quarterback delivery thing or if it is on the lineman or what it is, but I think we were playing a top D line, so we did see it more, but it didn't look like it was an issue over the course of the entire game to me. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, I agree. I think eventually, like Dad said, there's quarterbacks that have done it before. Russell Wilson, Drew Brees are the first 2 that come to my mind when I think of like shorter quarterbacks. Of course, there's a bunch more that I'm not mentioning. So I don't think it's going to be there's always a way to get around it if you really have the talent. So I'm not too worried about it. And like we saw in that first play, Purdy has the ability to kind of alter his arm to throw the ball at a different angle to get it around players. So that's going to help him out in the long run too. We missed
Definitely.
that. We didn't really talk about it, but it was the Ray McLeod touchdown, which was extremely impressive. That's what kind of sparked. I mean, it didn't really. I wouldn't even say it sparked our offense, but it was like the only big play that our offense had in the first half, which was a great play by Ray. I was listening to a podcast before, and it said that I guess Ray was a running back as well before he turned to a receiver. So I guess he gets mad at Shanahan when he doesn't like give the same plays to Ray that he gives to Debo. And that was evident right there because that fool, once he got that edge, you can see he just gets downhill fast, and he made the best of it. I think that was our longest touchdown this year or something.
Yeah, and outstanding blocking on that play as well.
Yeah.
McCaffrey, Kittle, and I think it was Warner maybe all lay amazing blocks on that play. So this play we see, let me go back. We see Demo get beat. I believe that's Jahan Dotson. Gets called back for holding. Happened quite a lot this game. Jahan Dotson was taking Demo to the woodshed. But I think I just saw this right now. But also watch T.Y. McGill right here. I think he gets a pretty good pressure on the quarterback.
Yeah.
Really was the. Oh yeah, here's a good angle too.
I mean, that was a great throw by Heineke to have to move up in the pocket and launch that ball. Like, Heineke is an underrated quarterback, and I don't get why they took him out either. Yeah. Me and Dad were talking about it. We were kind of confused, but the dude was making plays.
Yeah,
and I think
it
that
looked
was
like
the
it was
play
the
that was
O-line.
nullified, right? Because
holding. I
on
think it was
somebody
holding
or
on the
holding on
T.Y.
somebody.
McGill guy.
Yeah, and then Charvarius Ward got a holding on Terry McLaurin. What's your thoughts? And then Joe, you after as well. What are your thoughts about the cornerback play? Is that concerning to you, given we're going to be playing a lot better? Not saying that the Commanders' receiving core is bad, but you're going to be playing Justin Jefferson, Adam Thielen, CeeDee Lamb, Michael Gallup, A.J. Brown, and Devontae Smith. All the top NFC teams have great receiving cores. And, when we played a pretty decent receiving core in the Commanders, kind of showed some struggle. What do you think? Do you think that's going to be a problem in the postseason? Or?
Yeah, if we don't make those adjustments, we gotta knock that off. I mean, those right there, you've seen them too. They converted on most of those ones, and those are what throws us out. That's a game changer right there. You come back with a solid offense, they're going to punch that in every time right after that coming down the field. And we can't be in those shootouts where you're just straight up offense to offense, no defense. We'll get in trouble. Purdy's good and our offense is good, but trying to put up their high 30s, 40s for points, I don't want to be in those battles. Like, we need to figure out a way, make an adjustment, to knock those down right there and not let them complete those.
Yeah. Now I'll say you probably have two receiving cores better in the NFC that we're going to play in the playoffs than this one. I'd say the Cowboys is pretty comparable. Terry McLaurin and CD, pretty comparable to me. Jahan Dotson is really good for a rookie, in my opinion.
He's coming on hot too that year.
Yeah, he's been dealing with some injuries. That's why you haven't heard more about him. But obviously the Eagles have a really good, great receiving core, a Heisman winner in Devonta Smith, and A.J. Brown is obviously probably top 5, top 3 receiver in the league as well. And then the Vikings with Jefferson and Thielen and Hawkinson now, who's come on strong for them as well. But You know, Mooney Ward seems to struggle more with the speed guys, which is why it looked like he struggled to me a bit this game. Um, you know, obviously AJ Brown's more talented, but he's a bigger guy. Um, I don't know. It's a little worrying. I will say that, especially when they were able to go max protect, and then our D line vanished, and then they were just picking us off down the field. That was concerning, and I bet you we will see that in the playoffs.
Yeah, that's one thing that's frustrating too, is because we rely heavily on our defensive line to get sacks, and if they can't, sometimes it seems like if Bosa's not getting pressure, then our defensive line is just not going to get pressure. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah,
Bosa is the constant in that factor. So if he gets neutralized, it almost seems like our whole defensive line is going to get neutralized. If that happens, then we've seen what our secondary does. I mean, it's almost every secondary too. If the quarterback has a bunch of time, wide receiver is going to find a way to get open, and there's going to be big plays. But it still is concerning. If the defensive line's not getting pressure within a couple seconds, our DBs might be giving up some plays, which is going to be concerning against a legit offense like the Cowboys, Eagles, Vikings, those top teams. So we're going to have to figure something out.
yeah. And I stopped it on this play because you had mentioned Mooney Ward in his run coverage. And so here's a good play by him. But I believe watching it live, this is the play he gets shaken up on. And I don't know if this is the play he leaves the game on, but I do know he got up and he looked a little like something was going on after this play. But perfect run coverage for a corner right there.
Yeah. You don't see that a lot, That was a great tackle, too. It's not like he eased up at the end.
Yeah, he's still in on this next play, but I do remember, I think he got shook up on that play. There's your play right there. Wide open, too. He was wide open.
Yeah, it's unfortunate, man. Just one of those plays that just gets lucky. Juwan has to hold on to that. He can't pop it up like that. And it was wide. He probably would have got at least like another 5-10 yards off that after he caught the ball, too. And it's just unlikely from Juwan, too. He's always pretty sure-handed in the regular season. I mean, look at that. Look how much yards he has to go until he hits that safety. There's at least, 10, 15 yards probably.
Yeah, and Juan gets good yak too. He could have broke some right here too in this open space.
And then this is what kind of like I was saying, you don't want to get too aggressive, but at the same time, you don't want to get too conservative. I wouldn't even say this is too aggressive, but this play did turn the game on its head. You know what I mean? Like, this allowed them, not that they were out of the game, but this allowed them to get right back in it with us and tie it up right before half.
Yeah, and it wasn't a perfect pass, but he does need to catch it. Let's see if we could catch it. So it should be a little further in front of him, probably like right here.
Maybe a little bit higher too.
Yeah, so he has to come a little low, in front of his leg, but don't pop it up at least. Like, swat it down if you're going to not catch it.
Juwan, too, is a bigger guy, so, he has to come down a little bit more to get that ball, but still, you got to catch that. It hits your hands. It's not like it was crazy, crazy high or, like, crazy, crazy low or behind or anything, like, you got to catch that.
All right, let me see if I could skip ahead to the second half when we get some more action. How much longer you guys got?
A little bit.
Yeah, we're good.
Let me see. Did we score on the first drive out? Yeah. All right. This is the first drive out of a halftime score 7-7. Dot. Perfect throw, puts a dot on Ayuk. Great route as well. Takes a shot though from that linebacker.
Yeah.
Another dot. See, when Brock Purdy is hitting, dude looks good. Dude looks good.
And see, that's what's weird because that's like almost the same. It looked more or
Yeah,
less,
it's-
maybe
It's
the same as
across
that.
the field.
The throw that died on him. I don't get
I
it.
think one of those did get tipped.
I don't know if it was
One of them did. I don't remember.
That one
which
didn't
it
look like
was,
it got tipped. That
Yeah,
one did not look
the
like
one
it
that
got
died.
tipped. Yeah.
Yeah, see, that's why it's just weird. I don't know.
I do like that Shanahan gives him a pretty good playbook right here. He's opening up more and more for him, more than I felt like he did with Jimmy.
Yeah, definitely. His arm strength's weird too. Slater, there's the other touchdown, that we talked about, that Kittle stole, you could say. And that ball was a dime. It didn't like sail on him. He threw a dart and it got there pretty easily. But then that throw to Ayuk just died. It's just weird.
Yeah, and that one to the end zone, that was about a 50-yard, 45-yard pass.
Yeah.
Brock Purdy in the offseason needs to get with one of those top quarterback coaches and just continue to work and improve,
What are your thoughts on Mike McGlinchey? He played decent, but he kept getting those stupid false start penalties. He was jumping early. I think he was a little antsy that he was going to get beat around the edge. And those penalties here's that touchdown. So rewind it real quick before we talk about McGlinchey.
So let's see.
Let's see
He's
where he throws the
throwing
ball from.
from the 40, about the 45.
44, 45.
And it hits him about a yard into the end zone. So it's about a 45-yard throw right there.
Yeah, it's just weird. I don't know.
Let's see what Kittle did here so we could see. So I think they were expecting Kittle to cross this guy's face right here from what that
Yeah.
article was saying. But he sees him sitting. So what's he going to do? He sees he has an easy touchdown. I would have done the same damn thing.
Yeah.
I don't care.
Yeah, you can't blame him for that.
Having two guys down there too is better than one. You know what I mean? It gives you a higher probability of catching a ball for a touchdown.
Because you could see 22 right there. He's just sitting.
Yeah. But what are your thoughts about McGlinchey? Getting those two.
McGlinchey's been a little
False
rough here and
starts.
there, this season. Shit.
Would you bring him back? I guess. If you had to sign him to like a 2-3 year deal, would you sign him? Would you bring him back or try to find somebody else?
It's that's a tough one. I mean, if you could get him for a good deal, yeah, I'd bring him back. I wouldn't break the bank for him. Because I mean, he's been somebody we're always talking about and not for the better. I think he has more games that we're like, damn, we fucked up this and than doing better. But I mean, he's still getting it done. He's not the worst.
Yeah, I think, he's an excellent run blocker, and he's probably about league average as a pass blocker. But from what they're saying is he's going to get paid a lot this off season, and I wouldn't pay it. So I would
Don't
move
be
on.
surprised if we do, though.
No, I'm not surprised if we do. I'm just saying I wouldn't do it. We saw the Seahawks get 2 bookend tackles, one late in the first round and one, I believe, was it third? It might have been
Third or
I think it might have
fourth.
been late. Yeah, it might have been late. But I don't know. I don't think I would do it.
Could be a lot worse, though. You remember when we had Tom Compton
Yeah.
and whoever else was starting, Jalen Moore. I think that's the dude's name, right?
Yeah, Jalen Moore.
Those two guys, or Colton McKivitz as well. So it could be a lot worse than McGlinchey.
Yeah. I wanted to stop on this play because you see Fred Warner was doing this all game, just sideline to sideline, cleaning up the mess. All game he was doing it.
Yeah.
Nothing
that's
flashy,
why.
but just clean linebacker play.
That's why he's making the Pro Bowl. Jimmy Ward, too, it seems like he's been kind of coming into his own in the nickel spot. Seems like he's been settling down a little bit.
Yeah, he's still getting beat, but very less consistency.
Yeah.
Yeah, and playing slot's hard. That was a bad throw. That's got to be one of the hardest positions to play because you're playing those fast, twitchy, explosive dudes that are getting in and out of breaks.
And you're playing them space, too. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah,
because they have the whole side. They're not on the boundary. They're in the middle of the field damn near, so they have a lot of space to work.
I think this was an upsetting drive right here because we start with the ball on about the 43, and I think we don't do anything. When you have that good a field position, you got to at least get 3.
Yeah.
That was a good run by McCaffrey, though. Get a good couple yards with nothing there. It's unfortunate because this is one of those games. That was a hell of a throw. This is one of those games you would have liked to see what JP Mason could do against a physical front.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. That throw had to be perfect, and he put it on him.
Yeah.
What do you guys think of Purdy? You think he's a future, long-term starting quarterback in the NFL? What do you think? Oh, and we got to pause on this play because this is that magical stuff I was talking about. But before that, what do you guys think?
I think he has all the traits. He's showing. I mean, how many games are you going to make him play until you start agreeing that, oh, okay, he might be legit. It's not luck. I mean, see how far we make it. You know what I mean? If he wins a Super Bowl, are you going to say, yeah, he is, or no, he's not? He's showing that he has all the skills and the talent to do what he needs to do. I think he is. I think what's helping him too is he had so many games in college. So he does look like he knows how to read defenses. He looks downfield, comes back. He's not just locked in on one receiver. He does have mobility. Yeah, the arm strength. I mean, he shows he could throw them deep. Why he throws the ducks here and there, I don't know. I think he does, though. I think he does. I think he will be legit. I'm not counting Trey out yet, but I think he has what it takes to be a legit quarterback in the NFL.
So everyone likes to say the whole Super Bowl thing, oh, if Jimmy wins a Super Bowl, yeah, you bring him back. Oh, if Brock wins it, he's the starting QB, right? But say the 49ers go in the first round of the playoffs and they just get into that like Mahomes, Josh Allen shootout, and they lose. They didn't win the Super Bowl, but then what? The dude still played amazing. What do you do?
I still think I think we let Jimmy go. It's another injury. That's why we picked up Trey. There's still Trey's team because he got injured and that's why he wasn't here. I say you let him shoot it out. Give him both. Purdy showing that he could play. Like even if we got knocked out right now, he showed he could come in and play the game. And he did good, so I think you let him shoot it out. Give them both a legit shot and let the better quarterback play. I mean, that's what we're here for. Yeah, we gave up a lot for Trey, but if Purdy seems to be better, he better with the reads and better just all around, then hey, suck it up and we'll have a better chance to win, and that's who you go with.
I mean, if we win the Super Bowl too with Purdy, do you think anybody's going to care what we gave up for Trey Lance?
No, I'm saying, what about we lose in the first round, but it's a crazy shootout?
Yeah, I mean, I'm just saying in general, though, like, because I know a lot of people are like, oh, we give up so much, you mortgage the future for Trey Lance. But if you win the Super Bowl and Brock Purdy is the quarterback, you don't care what you give up for Trey. But yeah, if Purdy keeps playing at a good level and the loss isn't on him, then yes, you continue. Honestly, at this point, I think what Purdy's done so far, you still have to just let it be a quarterback competition in the offseason. He's already shown a lot. He's gotten big wins against good teams in critical times. Unless he completely spirals and looks just lost, hella picks, terrible, then no. But I think already just what he's done so far, and let's say he just tapers off a little bit at the end, knock on wood, that doesn't happen. But, I think it's still a quarterback competition no matter what.
Yeah, and I agree. All right, let's go through this play, and I want you guys to tell me what you thought about it when you saw it live.
Yeah. I mean, that play is crazy. That's like another play that I was talking about. If Jimmy's the quarterback, you're losing yards. Sure, we don't get anything out of it, but the ability to escape that DB, put some moves on him that spin, that just shows his athleticism and his mobility around the pocket. Because like I said, if you have Jimmy Garoppolo right there, realistically, and I'm not a Jimmy hater either, he's going down. He's seeing that corner come hot off the corner right there, off the edge. He's dropping. He's either dropping or he's throwing a pick.
I'm probably his ankle broke.
Yeah.
His foot, whatever, because he don't want to throw it. How many times did we yell and throw the goddamn ball away? Throw it away. And he got away and threw it away.
That corner had a dead to rights too. You know what I mean?
I'll stop it.
Look, honestly though, if Jimmy's the quarterback, what do you think happens?
If Jimmy tried to do that turn, he's getting blasted in the back right there.
That play is going for negative yards.
What Jimmy would have done right here, let me go back. What Jimmy would have done right here is right now. He would see this guy and he would step up in the pocket and get sacked by Jonathan Allen right there. He would step up. He would get hit by number 93 right here. He would step right into this guy and take a sack. That's what Jimmy would have done right here. He did it. He's always done that. He just steps right into the pressure, goes down.
Or he would have tried to force it to somebody, somebody like Kittle, somebody that he feels like he can rely on and just throw a stupid throw.
Yeah, or he would have thrown it right here to the back of Christian McCaffrey and got an interception probably.
Yeah.
But just the athleticism for a guy that ran, I think he ran like a 4.7 or 4.6. He beats a corner to the edge, puts these moves on him, and still gets the ball out as well. And it goes out of bounds. It's like Bryce Young.
Yeah.
If you guys haven't watched any Bryce Young, he's done this to people in college all last year and all this year. It's a
The thing
Heisman
that you
Trophy
like-
winner.
The thing that you like too about Brock is when he was doing all those moves, he was still trying to make a play. He was still like, that's why I tried to do that little like fake step, like he was going to cut in or whatever. Like he was still trying to make a play.
All right, we'll go through one more defense and one more offensive drive, and then we'll call it. Look at McGill. Did you see McGill right there?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'm Bosa. What's
Yeah, McGill
our
was balling.
what's our D-line coach's name again?
Chris Kasarik.
Yeah, that dude, man. He should be the highest paid positional coach in the league.
Well, shoot, I think he might step up and take a defensive coordinator next year once D'Amico leaves.
They said the
I
Broncos
don't
might be
think he
looking at
wants
him.
to. I don't think he wants to. I think he's just happy
Yeah.
being a position coach. I don't know.
Who do you think steps up then for defensive coordinator? The DB's
They've been-
coach, Halfley or whatever?
They've been saying Fangio all offseason, but now we saw the reports that he's supposedly going with Sean Payton wherever he goes.
But let's
I don't
say
know.
the Broncos hire Sean Payton. Vic Fangio's not going to go back to Denver to be a defensive coordinator after he was just the head coach and probably had, like he got fired.
True.
Yeah.
So Fangio's not going to go back to Denver after he just got fired as the head coach.
But maybe they go to the Panthers or something.
Yeah. Texans.
Oh, this is the drive we stopped them on their side of the field for a turnover. You got Omenihu, Armstead in the middle, just stuffing it up. But I was seeing that the Broncos coach Hackett, right? Chris Hackett. Kyle Shanahan wanted him on our staff before, and he's a defensive coach.
No,
So I would not be surprised if Chris Hackett becomes our D coordinator if D'Amico leaves, and it wouldn't be bad because the Broncos defense is actually was really good this year until
Yeah.
whatever happened this past week against the
I
damn
think they
Rams.
just had too much.
an unfortunate thing too with D'Amico leaving. We've seen it with Mike McDaniel. We've seen it with Saleh leaving. They pull some of our coaches as well. So you would hope that you can keep Kasarik or keep, Jeff Halfley. I think that's the DB's coach name. So hopefully they don't get pulled.
And we need
Yeah.
to keep our greasy.
Yeah.
Boy's been doing miracles with our QBs.
So here's the Kittle touchdown. Get Brock Purdy out of the pocket to his left. Has to throw a crossbody to Kittle and let the man do his work.
Mhm.
I think at this point, our little fan last week was all upset.
Oh yeah, that dude
Remember the
with clapping booty cheeks or whatever. Is that
Oh,
what
yeah.
now? Let's see a comment on this video from clapping booty cheeks about what happened during this game. Almost forgot about that guy.
All right. So that'll do it for our film sesh. Hopefully when we
Yeah.
upload this, because our last film session it came up choppy on the video. Hopefully it don't do that on this one. But
Yeah.
so you guys have any final takeaways from this game?
Yeah, I mean, it was a good game. You wish that the offense and defense realistically could have started out a little bit hotter. It took them a little bit to get going. Like you said, maybe that long week, you know what I mean? We're coming off a long week. We played on – when did we play the week before?
Thursday, right? I think
Thursday night.
Thursday.
So, it was a longer week. So maybe, they were kind of just chilling. It took them a little bit to get back into the game flow. But you like to see them start out hotter. But overall, pretty good game. I just want to see a more consistency with Purdy, hitting all levels of throws. And I want to see J.P. Mason getting the ball more than Ty Davis Price personally.
Well, don't the
Yeah, we
window open
should.
up too for Mitchell?
Yeah, that's
Yeah,
some
they
news.
said he could. They said Elijah Mitchell could be back next week, as early as
practicing. I
next
think
week.
they're opening his practice window at the end of this week, right?
They
And
can. They haven't done it, but they can.
Yeah, they expect Debo to be back at practice this week. Probably there's a chance he can play this week, which I wouldn't do personally. And then Jimmy G got his cast off.
Yeah, and Brock Purdy seen at the Warriors game with Debo Samuel, so you love to see them building that connection off the field because that'll be critical in the playoffs.
Mm-hmm.
And then also Brock Purdy's birthday today as well. 23 years old.
I think he's older than Trey Lance, right?
Yeah, I
'cause
think
Trey
so.
was 21. I think he just turned 22.
Yeah, it's kind of weird. Trey's second year, Brock Purdy's first year, but he's older than him.
Well, that's 4 years in college versus 2, basically.
Yeah.
2 or 3.
Yeah.
But yeah. So
got a big game coming this week against the Raiders. I know a lot of Niner fans, like our dad over here, has it out for the Raiders. So if there's a game they want to win more than anything, it's this one.
Yep.
Yeah, and
we're faithful to the Bay.
We've already seen, was it Chandler Jones and Denzel Perriman, right?
Yeah.
Both out already, should be a blowout, but you never know. Any given Sunday. We'll do our pregame Raider show later this week. But, yeah, you love to see it. Got any closing remarks?
Nope. Just hope for a good week. Holidays coming up. Hope everybody stays safe. Has a good New Year's. We'll be live on New Year's Day for the pregame primary because that's when we play on the 1st. So hope everybody has a good New Year's Eve and New Year's. Stay safe and just thanks for tuning in and watching this one if you're watching all the way at the end.
Yeah, and if you're watching all the way till now, thank you. We're at 149 subscribers. Posting consistently again, finally, because we're all settled in. So let's try to get us up close to 200 by the end of the 49ers season. That would be nice. Any final words, Dad?
No, just keep the faith. Keep playing bully ball.
Yep. All right. We'll see you guys next time.
Peace.
Turn it back. Money.